Hello shooters, thanks for watching. A couple years ago when I first started my YouTube channel, I did a video on red dots versus one before scopes. And I've learned a couple things. I love to learn. I've learned a couple things since then through going through the man versus gun series. The way I have different rifles configured makes a difference in the times and the scores that I get in the course of fire that I have for the man versus gun series. And so I started thinking the 1x4 versus red dot that I did some years ago. I had a red dot on a basic stock M4 rifle, and I had the one before my go-to M4. And so it wasn't a true comparison. It wasn't apples to apples. It was, you know, well, maybe apple. It was like a Macintosh to a Granny Smith or whatever, you know. So through the man versus gun series, I've been able to put my go-to M4 with the one before scope and also with a red dot. Exact same rifle, exact same shooter, exact same course of fire. The only difference was a red dot versus a 1x4 scope. Not only that, my go-to AK, I have a red dot on it, and because of these RS regulate scope mounts, these are, if you have an AK with a side mount, this is the only way to put a scope on an AK in my opinion. I've had the Ultimax and I've had the dog leg. This is by far the best way to do it. So I ran my AK with a 1x4 with a red dot, and also I have an RS regulate mount with a 1x4. So exact same AK, exact same shooter, exact same course of fire. The only difference, got a 1x4 versus a red dot scope. Also, not all 1x4 scopes are created equal, and I did bring this up in the first video, but I gotta bring it up again. There's some terminology that we have to talk about with 1x4 scopes, or 1x6, or 1x8, or whatever. If it's powered, if you can crank it up more than one power, then there's two terms that we have to be cognizant about. One of them is eye relief, and that's how far your eye is away from the scope. If you're too close, you'll just see black or maybe a little teeny bit of light through there. If you're too far, all you'll see is black or maybe just a little teeny light. There's a sweet spot in there of where your eye has to be in relationship to this part right here for you to be able to see clearly in the full round clearly. There's also an industry term, they call it an eye box, and I'd like to slap the dude that made it. It's not a box. There's nothing about a box of light coming out of this scope. It's a cone. There's a cone of light, kind of like a flashlight, how there's some spill coming around the side. Some scopes are going to be more forgiving, are going to have a larger cone for your head to find than other scopes. If it's a real small cone, you've got to not only be exactly the right distance away, but your head has to be exactly in the exact right spot in order to see clearly through the scope. These Vortex 1x4s that I run have a very forgiving cone. My head doesn't have to be exactly the same spot every time. So it makes it very fast to get on target. Other scopes are not so forgiving. So this test is for quality 1x4 scopes that have a forgiving eye cone and a generous eye relief. If you have a scope that doesn't have a forgiving eye cone and a very narrow eye relief band, then you're not going to get the same results. The times will be much slower. And you also will get a penalty with a 1x4 scope. A 1x4 scope with a mount is a lot heavier than a red dot scope with its mount. So there is a weight penalty. On the other hand, I have an astigmatism, so any red dot, EOTech, aim point, primary arms, hollow sun, any red dot, for me it's more of a smear, almost a Nike swoosh kind of thing. Yeah, I can still get accurate hits and I can get them very fast, but that's just something to be aware of. If you have astigmatism, any red dot, you're going to have some kind of problem there. With a 1x4 scope that has an etched reticle like these, zero problem. It's always perfectly round, the lines are perfectly straight, blah blah blah. And also, if you're going to reach out more than 100 or 200 yards, this is easier to do than a red dot. It's easier to hit a small target at distance with this than a red dot. That's just the way it is. So anyhow, let's look at the spreadsheet and see how the 1x4 does against a red dot. Okay, shooters, what you just saw was headshots at 25 yards. The first one was with the T1. Second one was with the 1x4. You notice that the T1 is slightly faster. When you add the times up there for the 5 shots, let's go down to the AK. And the AK is exactly, look at that, exactly the same time. That's kind of odd for it to all add up to the exact same thing. So a little teeny bit of a difference there with the M4, and absolutely no difference at all with the AK. Left side body shots at 25 meters. We have the T1, the 1-4 at 4.75, the T1 at 4.99. So in this instance, the one before was a little bit faster than the T1. Go down to the AK. The 1-4 was a little bit slower than the T1. 6.59 to 6.39. Speed loads, 25 meters. Okay, the 1-4 got 19.48. The T1 got 19.36, just a smidgen faster. We come down to the AK. The 1-4 is just a smidgen behind, 7/10 of a second, 7/100ths of a second behind the T1. Okay, type 1 malfunction clearance drills. Clear the malfunction, get a body shot at 25 meters. The 1-4, 14.26. The T1, 14.33. So, virtually neck and neck there. Come down to the AK. Almost exactly neck and neck there. 1-4 is 15.83. T1 is 15.82. Type 3 malfunction clearance drill, right side. Remember, this is in the prone. And remember that this sucks really bad. It's no fun at all to do. Come down to the 1-4, 41.81. The T1, 40.85. So about a second faster for the T1 over the 5 shots. Come down to the AK, 1-4, 47.01. T1, 46.59. So about 0.4 seconds faster with the T1 when it comes time for the AK. Okay, type 3 in the prone, 25-yard shot after clearing. 1-4, 14.75, 42.75, excuse me. 42.93 for the T1. Come down here to the AK, and the 1-4 is 50.98, and the T1 is 50.42. So about a half a second over the 5 shots. Ten rounds at 5 yards. Fast you can pull the trigger and keep them in the pie plate. 1-4 on the M4 is 2.24. T1 on the M4 is 2.25. So those are virtually identical. AK 1-4 is 2.23, right in line there, and the T1 is 2.22. So really, in that instance, all 4 of them are absolutely no difference between the 4 there. multiple targets. M4 1 to 4 7.81, T1 7.79, so 2/100ths of a second difference there. The AK 7.83 on the one before and 7.79 on the T1. Virtually a tie, another four-way tie. Totals. I don't know why I have averages there, but total time AK 74 1 to 4 163.25, the T1 160.65. So overall, those shots and malfunction clearance drills, less than 3 seconds difference. And with the M4 T1 137.77, 138.61, yeah, less than a second difference there. Okay, shooters, data speaks for itself. There's negligible difference between a quality 1x4 or 1x6 or 1x8 and a red dot scope. But there is a weight penalty. There's no question about it. These are heavier than a red dot. If you want your rifle to be as light as possible, run the red dot. If you want your rifle to be as versatile as possible, so you're good at the close game, you're good at the medium game, and you're pretty good at the distance game, then a 1x4, 1x6, or 1x8 is the way you ought to go. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Appreciate all the likes, shares, subscribes. Any questions or comments, please post them below. I'll do my best to answer them. And until next time, have a great day.